Okay, kids, raise your hands. Who remembers the coffin of Andy and Leyley? Mm-hmm. I thought so. Yay! Yeah, I wasn't spared either. This is one of the worst canon events to ever happen in gaming history. Ever. For those that don't know what I almost said canon. For those that don't know what the coffin of Andy and Leyley is, I'm just gonna give you enough information to stay the frick away from it. Run now. Stay away from this thing. It is cursed. I tell you, cursed. So, the basic premise is actually really interesting. The story follows twin siblings, Andrew and Ashley Graves, who have been tucked. I practiced these videos so many times, and then, oh my god, trapped in their house. They've been trapped in their house because a pandemic has broken out. And they're basically bored out of their minds and slowly going insane. One day, the siblings discover that there's a cult right next to them. Like, seriously, an entire cult right next door to them. And Ashley, this little spawn of Satan, just plans on watching the whole thing. Yep, just plans on watching. But Andrew, the poor, long-suffering brother, although I am not excusing the shit he's done either, decides, no, they're not just gonna sit and watch, and tries to stop the ritual. I don't remember what happens to the cult in question when Andrew breaks down the door. Either they all died, or they all ran. Regardless, a demon gets summoned. And instead of reporting the cult for possible mass murder like a normal person would, Ashley decides to keep the medallion. I remember it being a medallion. And keep the demon with her. Unlike a normal person, the two also engage in cannibalism, with Ashley being a little too optimistic about the whole situation. Yeah. One thing you'll know is that Ashley Graves is not well, including the fact that she is infatuated with her brother. And no, I do not care about spoilers for this game because people need to stay away from it. You need to treat this like the plague. Avoid. But yes, that was not me joking. That was not me baiting. Ashley is interested in her twin brother, Andrew. Sorry about that. Okay. So, those of us who were exposed to this disease of a video game, including, unfortunately, myself, all wish that this game never existed in the first place. Seriously, we all wish we could just blank this from our minds. We wish that the Men in Black could come in with their memory erasing devices and get rid of this shit. Please! Please, Men in Black! Save us all! And anyone who is anyone who enjoys this will immediately be asked to get out of my house. Like, right now. Any of you who just found what I described appealing, get the frick out of my house. At least, I believe I have, come up with a solution for long-term suffering. At least for those who also know the game Project Eden's Garden. Yep, another AU. Hey, my boyfriend gives me the name the AU Queen for a reason. I don't personally think I'm AU royalty, but, you know, it's my boyfriend, so. The solution is this. Wolfie and Grace. Put them inside it, make them the protagonists. Yep. That's the solution. Okay. So this is the story I've come up with for this AU. And keep in mind, a specific part of this story involves the idea that both the Akire and Madison families absolutely suck. This part of the story will be subject to change if and when we get more information on both of these families, on whether or not they suck at all. So take that part of the story with a grain of salt. As I will say again, when and if we get more information on both the Akire and Madison families, and whether or not they suck, this part of the story will be subject to change. For now, we are sticking with the implied stuff on both of these families being pieces of shit. Or at least filled with pieces of shit. Like, groups of pieces of shit. You get the point. So, much of the Coffin of Wolfie and Gracie follows the same premise, at least the basic one, as the Coffin of Andy and Leyley. A pandemic has broken out. Wolfgang and Grace are trapped inside of their house, and while they love each other very, 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 very much to the point where they would, basically meet in every life, at least they promise to do that, they both have cabin fever and desperately want to get out of the house badly, especially Grace. She wants out. Meanwhile, Wolfgang is using toxic positivity to try and keep them both sane. Because they're both a little, cuckoo after being cooped up inside their house this whole time. Again, much like the original story of the Coffin of Andy and Leyley, they discover that right next door to them, there's a cult performing a summoning ritual. And instead of one of them just intending on watching this crazy shit, they both say, "Oh, hell nah," and immediately break down the door to call the police. Because, the cult committed mass murder, possibly, because of the sacrifices. So Grace breaks down the door. Wolfgang intends on calling the police, is already dialing as a matter of fact, and every single member of the cult who attended the ritual scrambles like eggs. Despite this, the demon still awakens. Seeing that Wolfgang and Grace are the only ones there, the demon asks if they're the ones who summoned them. They both quickly correct them, saying that they are not the ones who summoned it. But despite this constant assurance that they're not the ones who summoned it, the demon decides to be an asshole and imparts their bidding onto Wolfgang and Grace. The demon makes a deal with the two. Sacrifice 50 people to it, and they're free. No markings, no bindings, no chains, no being dragged down to hell. They will be free to live their lives as if they never met the demon, if they sacrifice 50 people in its honor. If they refuse, however, the demon will do the exact opposite of what it just described. In other words, both of them will be marked for the rest of their lifespans and dragged down to hell. Obviously, the two panic out of their minds and don't want to kill innocent people for the sake of going scot-free. Wolfgang tries to use his optimism to say, "Hey, if we don't kill anyone, at least we'll be in hell together." But Grace is having none of that shit, obviously. And that's when the two come to an absolutely horrifying and depressing realization. Both of their families suck. Again, this part of the story will be subject to change when and if we get more family information. But that is not the realization. The fact that their families suck is not the realization. The realization is that their families combined have just enough people to satisfy the demon's hunger. And in a state of depression and a little bit of hysteria, they decide that this is the only way. Commit a combined mass family murder. And so, undetected and being hunted by the cult that summoned the demon in the first place, because now the demon is affiliated with the two of them, Wolfgang and Grace set out to do this dastardly deed. Of course, throughout most of this game, they both have a guilty conscience. Because despite their family sucking, again, part of the story, subject to change, they're still their family. Wolfgang has the worst time with this. And his family is the family they go after first. After this mass family murder, however, the two make the decision that, you know what? Screw them! They're own family. They're going to fuse their names together and, yeah, just be their own family. They then talk about what marriage will be like and what they'll be like as parents and all that shit. And that'll be kind of like the conflict. That'll be the conflict. Just them dealing with the fact that they're going to murder their own families despite all the shit they've both been through. Them halfway through deciding that they're going to be their own family. And then just deciding that that's a done deal. That's it. They're going to carry out the rest of this and then just move on with their lives as a family. And that, in my opinion, is much better than the incest of the original game. Ugh. Like I said, I really wish I could just forget that this game ever existed. Why? But yeah. The only ending I have figured out right now for this, because I do imagine it in a game format, is the true ending. The two indeed carry out the dastardly deed. Hey, that rhymed. And move on with their lives. There's a news article about how Grace is more focused on golf than ever, but seems lighter somehow. Wolfgang also seems lighter. And yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. And that immediately makes the Coffin of Andy and Leyley so much better to deal with, because, yeah, we have these two instead. And I hope this can help you as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, those who stayed. Anyway, and appreciate you watching. I will see you guys next time. Thank you. Much love. Goodbye.